So is beauty man-made? Please exercise your brains to find out. Surely beauty is when the self is not. When I am not, beauty is. When the self is not, love is. And so love, freedom, goodness, beauty are one, not separate, not something pursued. What is beauty? Is it something we see, something we feel, or something far deeper? Krishnamurti once asked, "Can we truly perceive beauty as long as our minds are clouded by thought, memory, and desire?" In a world obsessed with appearances, let us pause and listen. What does it mean to encounter beauty with a mind that is utterly still? Now, what is beauty? This is one of the most fundamental questions. It is not superficial, so don't brush it aside. To understand what beauty is, to have that sense of goodness which comes when the mind and heart are in communion with something lovely, without any hindrance so that one feels completely at ease. Surely this has great significance in life. And until we know this response to beauty, our lives will be very shallow. One may be surrounded by great beauty, by mountains and fields and rivers, but unless one is alive to it all, one might just as well be dead. When you look at those mountains, those immense rocks jetting into the sky, if you look at it quietly, you feel the immensity of it, the enormous majesty of it. And for the moment, for the second, that tremendous dignity of it, the solidity of it, puts away all your thoughts, your problems for a second, right? And you say, how marvelous that is. So what has taken place there? The majesty of those mountains for a second, the very immensity of the sky and the blue and the snow-clad mountains drives away all your problems. It makes you totally forget yourself for a second. You are enthralled by it. You are struck by it. Like a child who has been naughty all day long or naughty for a while, which he has a right to be, and you give him a complicated toy. You understand, the mountain, the river, the meadows, and the groves absorb you. You forget yourself, right? So is that beauty. You understand my question. To be absorbed by the mountain, by the river, or the green fields, that means you are like a child being absorbed by something else, right? And for the moment you are quiet, being absorbed, taken over, surrendering yourself to something. Is that beauty? Being taken over, you understand. Surrendering yourself to something great and that thing forcing you for a second to forget yourself. So then you depend. For Krishnamurti, beauty cannot be truly understood by a mind centered on itself, on its ambitions, desires, or the pursuit of personal success. Only a mind free from ego, not conditioned by thought and desire, can authentically perceive beauty. When the self is absent, there is space for real beauty. Beauty, not only sensitivity to outward reality, but being sensitive to that beauty which is beyond and above thought and feeling. There is beauty of form, beauty of design, beauty of life. Have you observed the lovely shape of a tree when it is in full foliage, or the extraordinary delicacy of a tree naked against the sky? Have you ever looked at a tree without a single word of like or dislike, without a single image? What then takes place? Then, for the first time, you see the tree as it is, and you see the beauty of it, the color, the depth, the vitality of it. A tree, or even another person, is fairly easy to observe. But to observe oneself that way, that is to observe without the observer, is much more difficult. So one must find out who is the observer. What is beauty? The great architecture, the cathedrals of Europe, the great temples and the mosques of the world, constructed by great architects, the great painters, the great sculptors, Michelangelo. When you see all that, that's beautiful. So is beauty man-made? Please exercise your brains to find out. A tiger is not man-made, thank the Lord. A tree in a field alone, solitary with all the dignity of a marvelous old tree that is not man-made. But the moment you paint that tree it's man-made, and you admire, go to a museum to see that tree painted by a great artist. So in our life, part of the art of living is to understand the depth and beauty of freedom and the goodness of it. And what is beauty? Not the picture, the poem, the marvelous writer, but what is beauty? You may have a beautiful face, clean-cut features. You may dress with good taste and have polished manners. You may paint well or write about the beauty of the landscape. But without this inward sense of goodness, all the external appurtenances lead to a very superficial, sophisticated life without much significance. So we must find out what beauty really is, must we not? Mind you, I am not saying that we should avoid the outward expressions of beauty. We must all have good manners. We must be physically clean and dress tastefully, without ostentation. We must be punctual, clear in our speech, and all the rest of it. These things are necessary and they create a pleasant atmosphere, but by themselves they have not much significance. It is inward beauty that gives grace, an exquisite gentleness to outward form and movement. And what is this inward beauty without which one's life is very shallow? Have you ever thought about it? Probably not. You are too busy. Your minds are too occupied with study, with play, with talking, laughing, and teasing each other. But to help you to discover what is inward beauty, without which outward form and movement have very little meaning, is one of the functions of right education. And the deep appreciation of beauty is an essential part of your own life. Beauty is not merely in a tree, a picture, a face. It is when the mind is very quiet. To see beauty, you don't need more, you need less. Less thought, less noise. And when the observer disappears, what remains is not just beauty. It's truth without a name.